Rejuvenate, restore, refresh, and heal. At Fantuzzo Acupuncture, we seek to help achieve effective health and wellness in an elegant spa-like atmosphere. Fantuzzo Acupuncture specializes in traditional acupuncture, cosmetic anti-aging acupuncture, acupressure, cupping, CBD topical creams, and more. Approach healthcare holistically. Visit FantuzzoAcupuncture.com to book online today. FantuzzoAcupuncture.com.
From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.
That's right. Taylor 500 help. You want your air conditioning to be working today because it is a hot one. So call Taylor 500 help for all your air conditioning needs. And you might think, well, does Taylor 500 help do anything else? Of course they do. Heating and plumbing is what they do. Duct cleaning, air conditioning, heating, home energy, comprehensive maintenance plans. And of course they do financing at Taylor Heating and Plumbing as well. And if you need a job, and I know a lot of people are searching for employees, if you're familiar with HVAC, they're looking for techs, plumbers, project managers, and office personnel at Taylor 500 help. And they, of course, support Kimberly's Revolution. And we hope you support our advertisers like Precision Lawn and Garden, 195 North Avenue in Webster, open weekdays 8 to 5 and Saturday 9 to noon. They've been providing Rochester and the entire upper New York State area with professional sales, service, and parts since 1969. They have blowers and chainsaws and lawnmowers and on sale models, new models, still products, Cub Cadet, Ferris, and Toro, everything you need to make sure your yard is the envy of the neighborhood. And if you want your driveway to look amazing, Express Sealers, because nothing makes your curb appeal look nicer than a freshly sealed driveway. Call Express Sealers. They are not a fly-by-night company. They're not one of those door knocker sealing companies. Protect your investment and call Express Sealers today. That's 645-2010, 645-2010 for Express Sealers. Make sure you support our advertisers because they support the We the People Podcast Network.
Live from the We the People broadcast studio in sunny 88-degree Irondequoit, New York. Woo! Here's our sharp tip of the spear and the next duly elected governor of the state of New York. It's Kimberly Ray.
How is everyone today? It is Kimberly's Revolution. It is a hot one on Wednesday. Woo! Thank you for joining us on the We the People Podcast Network. It is Kimberly's Revolution. The shout out goes out to Fitz at Rockbox Productions, who makes all of this happen. And of course, thank you for Austin, our producer, being here today. I am Kimberly from the We the People Podcast Network and Kimberly's Revolution. You can find us live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Of course, give us a like on Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your podcast, you can find Kimberly's Revolution. Tom Morgan is joining us today. He is the
I'm here. Don't wear it out.
Owner of Revere Realty, which we are under the umbrella of Revere Realty here in Irondequoit. And of course, Chad Hummel is an attorney and also owner of Revere Realty, and he is downstairs. He's not here. He's downstairs on a very important. He's suing someone, I would suppose.
He's getting a letter.
Joining it. The name of the show is The Sharpest Guy. The Sharpest Guy, and the reason is our guest today is libertarian Larry Sharpe, one of my favorite guys. He has been a guest on my radio show when I had a radio show on many times. We're a big fan of Larry and a big supporter of Larry Sharpe. He's an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He was a candidate for the Libertarian Party nomination for Vice President of the United States of America, and he ran for the governor of New York State in 2018. And he joins us today, Larry Sharpe, live from his studios.
There he is.
I made it here. I'm stuck in New York City, the belly of the beast, but I am here.
Oh, can I kill the intro? Yes, sure.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
Coming through on the same feed as
And now, Larry Sharpe.
I am here from my bunker in New York City. Yes, I'm stuck here. Don't forget something. AOC is my congressperson. So I accept your condolences.
We have Joe Morelli here, Larry, so
yes.
Don't worry about it.
I think AOC is a little bit scarier. You better build that bunker deep and get it ready for the long term if AOC is in charge of where you live.
There we go. So yes, so I'm here. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. As soon as I got the call, I was like, yes, I cannot wait to come see you again.
And you do a podcast as well. Is that the understanding?
It is. You can see it here. It's called The Sharp Way. And by the way, yes,
that just
it
makes
is
sense.
the #1 podcast in the entire world with the name Sharp in it.
Kimberly, where are all our awards?
We need
He's got like a gold record behind him.
Larry is serious about stuff. I mean, this is a guy who, again, always strikes me. He is smart on many different levels. He knows exactly what is good for the state and the country. And,
Thank you.
And again, we've had him as a guest because he's a smart guy. When I say the sharpest guy, he really is the sharpest guy.
I appreciate that.
Not blowing smoke up your butt, only because, I mean, here we are, Larry, the day after. And by the way, Chad Hummel joins us. So, Larry, this is Chad.
Hi, Larry.
Hey, Chad.
And the day after Governor Cuomo resigns amid scandal again.
Yep. Absolutely. And look, that when he first resigned, I was a little bit giddy. It's true, I was. And I kind of wanted them to come take his Emmy next. Like, I kind of wanted that to happen. But now, I don't want to be petty anymore. I just want to focus on one thing. We have an opportunity now to fix our amazing state. So I don't want to be petty. Well, I do want to be petty, but I shouldn't be petty. Yeah. And I would instead like to try to focus on fixing our state now.
Well, I'd like to try to focus on fixing the state, but it has been almost 18 years where we've seemed to foobar the entire situation. I mean, how many scandals can the great state of New York, go through? And I said to you earlier before we went on the air, it's as if the voters in New York State keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, which, as we know, is the exact definition of insanity.
I would actually go the opposite way. I would actually say doing the exact same thing again and again and again and hoping for a new result is actually the definition of humanity. Humans do that constantly. It's the insane people who don't do that, and they make change in the world. So I think most humans just keep doing that. But there's an issue here that we don't, that some people aren't getting. And that is most of the people who are leaving New York State are the ones who would actually vote Cuomo out. So Cuomo is literally pushing out his competition. You look at it now, we've lost almost 2 million New Yorkers in the past 10 years when you include COVID. So it is horrible that happens, right? Now, on top of that, all those people leaving, most of those people leaving are those who are unhappy with Cuomo. So the people who would vote him out are leaving the state.
Well, you know where they're going.
So it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. Yeah, but they're going to states where they have freedom. They're going to, they've said, listen, we've fought the battle in New York State long enough. We can't do it anymore. We're going to go down where they support freedom in Tennessee, in Texas,
Florida.
In Florida. They're going. And here you are. You said, I'm in a bunker in New York City. You better be, because AOC and de Blasio are coming for you.
Absolutely true. And de Blasio, the bad thing about Cuomo leaving, don't get me wrong, I'm happy he left, and overall, totally a good thing. At the same time, one of the hard parts is it does look like someone like de Blasio might run. Like de Blasio might try to run for governor. That's the kind of person he is, because de Blasio is a true believer. I mean, he's like, look, Kimberly, I know I'm taking 70% of all your money. However, if I just took 80, then we'd have that socialist utopia. Okay, maybe 85. Okay, maybe 90% of your money. But at that point, then I promise you, okay, probably just 3 gulags, maybe 4 at max. And Larry, then we'll have
Larry,
that
can a moderate Democrat from Western New York win the governorship of New York State?
You mean like you?
Like Kathy Hochul. Can she win against in a primary against the downstate progressive? I mean, does she have any chance in a primary?
To be forward, unless an outsider runs, the Democrat is going to be the next governor of New York. It's 3-1 Democrats to Republicans. That's how it works in this state. I know it sounds horrible. Republicans are going to feel bad. They all think, well, we're raising so much money. It is irrelevant. The Republican is not going to win in this state. It cannot happen. So whoever wins, unless an outsider comes in, whoever wins the Democratic primary is probably going to be our governor, unless something else happens. Now, I would say with Kathy Hochul, I don't think that she'll win, because she is tainted by Cuomo, and all her enemies will say exactly this. You were with him for all this time. You knew who he was, and you basically defended him. You supported all those women. You supported all this environment. I don't think she'll even run. My gut says she does a year and a half and walks away.
Really?
That's what my gut says. I don't think she even runs.
Wow. I know Larry Sharp is our guest. If you are listening, he ran for governor in 2018. Tell us, because you've been a part of politics in New York State and in New York City.
Yep.
Tell us how long this has been a thing with Cuomo and his team. I mean, there had to be whisperings in the hallway, Larry Sharp.
I will tell you what I heard. You'll love this. When I crossed the state in 2018, I would always say that Cuomo was a bad guy. And people would say, well, Larry, why do you beat him up and not others? Because I can speak to Democrats. I can speak to liberals, progressives. I can speak to conservatives, Republicans. And most of the people I speak to, they think differently from me, but they still want something good, right? They simply think the way to get there is a different way than I think. And we can have a conversation, and I'll even change my mind here or there. But Cuomo was a bad guy. He was a bad human being. It's why I was so aggressive against him. And I remember I was crossing the state, and I met many politicians, mayors, state senators, assemblymen. And one mayor of one town said, Larry, Cuomo was what happens when the henchman or the hitman becomes the boss. Ha! And I was like, wow. He's like, yes, that's the guy he is. So I use that with at least another dozen people who are in politics. And by the way, he's a Democrat, the guy who told me he was Democrat. So I went on and asked the people, and not one elected official said, no, that wasn't true. They either said, maybe, or they went, yes, that's exactly him. Nobody said, that's not him. No, they were all like, yeah, that works. And you can see that now he got in trouble. He literally had no help. No one came in. And when I thought he was going to fight this out, I really did. But once DeRosa stepped down, that's when I thought, oh, that's the end. Because once she steps down for only one reason, to make a deal with some prosecutor so she doesn't go to jail.
That's what you said.
And he knows that because that's what he's doing. He's been doing that for years. So the second she steps down, he goes, okay, I'm fried. I got to get out of here before I want to do some jail time. And that's why he bails. And the deal he probably made is, don't put me in jail and I'll walk away. That's my gut.
Okay, so we wanted to know, and we were having this conversation yesterday because our podcast runs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And I had asked Chad, because Chad is the smartest of the three of us, and he is. You are an attorney, you know these things. But we were having the conversation, why 14 days? And your take on that, Chad, was
just that he's striking deals. He's striking non-prosecution deals. He's making deals with his colleagues, etc. He's got a lot of baggage hanging over his head with the nursing home scandal. So, and what you said about DeRosa, I made that very point as well. I said that there was no way in my mind that Andrew Cuomo was going anywhere until he was forced to the point where when he started his press conference yesterday, I literally listened to the first 2 or 3 minutes. And as soon as he started the blame game and that he's the victim, I turned it off. I couldn't listen to the son of a gun for one more second. And then 5 minutes later, people are texting me, Cuomo resigned. And I was like, no way, you're messing with me. And
I was literally on a radio show. I was hosting a free solution on WYSL out of Rochester, New York. That's the station I was on. YSL, when someone called in and told me.
Nice.
Literally called in and said, he just resigned. What? Literally, a caller told me. It's amazing.
We'll always remember where we were and what happened the day that Andrew Cuomo resigned.
We will. As I mentioned yesterday, Larry, the fact of the matter is you cut off the head of the snake, but what happens to the rest of his enablers and his agenda pushers? They've got to go.
This is another reason for the 14 days. I completely agree. Remember, he has $18 million sitting in his account right now. That's a lot of people who bought him.
You're talking about his election fund.
He's got to pay them back somehow, or they're not going to be happy. So he's going to have to make some deals on where that money goes, who gets that money. They bought him, and they kind of want him to do his job because they paid for him. So that happened. He gets over $500,000 every year from people he's put on boards and commissions. Wow. So all of those boards and commission people, they're all like, whoa, 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 whoa. we're here and we gave you money so we could scam the system. And if we're not going to scam the system, we got a problem. And all of a sudden, we might have some problems with you too. All of a sudden, if we can't get our money's worth. So he has to work those things out also.
You know, it's the first time I think I heard that he has 18 million that he's got to dole out. I mean, well, you know, at that taxpayer expense, I would, you know, imagine also. I mean,
most of that's donations of heavy hitters, his cronies who have helped to destroy the state, right? Working through the development councils, working through, you know, commissions and boards that have no oversight whatsoever except for him. Yeah, it's mostly those people.
Yeah, he'll pass that back to his donors, and then he'll do $300,000 speeches for the next 3 years to get the money back.
He'll do that. And what he'll also do is something like this. He'll donate. So he'll do something like find a think tank. He'll donate $3 million to that think tank, and then get hired for $500,000 a year. So he basically bought himself a job.
And see, that's the whole thing that's what drives me crazy is that we, again, keep doing the same stupid things.
Yes.
I mean, and you can't, let me ask you, do you think what happened to Cuomo is part of the cancel culture?
Well, he said so.
That's what he said.
He absolutely was like, cancel culture is awesome. Oh, wait a minute. Me? Cancel culture is terrible. Right, exactly. It's unsustainable. You can't do this cancel culture stuff when it's me, right? When it's you, it's the best thing in the world. I do.
It's called a generational shift.
I don't think this is actually cancel culture. And here's the difference. Cancel culture is what happened to you, Kimberly. You say something and they throw you out. That's cancel culture. What he did was 11 women that the AG did a report on and perhaps criminal charges. That's not cancel culture. He's pretending it's cancel culture so he can become the victim. But that's not cancel culture. That's someone who showed a pattern of using power over women over the course of years, which crossed over into actual criminal activity. That's not cancel culture.
Right. And again, he's been doing, I mean, we're just finding out about it. He made laws that had to do with, you know, #MeToo, all the while thinking, I can't get caught. I won't get caught. I'm too powerful.
He is royalty. I'm just saying. He is royalty. He is better than us. So, I mean, he actually does believe that. So, you know, do laws really affect the king? I guess now we know they do. He thought they didn't.
Of course they do. So now here we are on day one of a new regime. What has to happen to get New York State back to the great state that it can be and it should be?
Kathy Hochul, the new governor, will not be able to achieve this at all. No way. Not at all. And she won't for several reasons. Number one, she doesn't know how because she never had to think about it. So she doesn't know how. So her learning curve is going to be huge. I'm sure she's motivated and wants to do well, but her learning curve is huge. The people who are around her now or in that area are all going to be telling her, you need to stop. This is Letitia James's world now. Okay. AG stands for not attorney general. It stands for aspiring governor. So you need to sit yourself down and make sure that when she steps up, you are ready to walk away. That's what her people are going to be telling her right now. That's what she's hearing right now, right? Let Letitia walk in. That's the answer. But not just that. Does she have all the pull? Remember, Cuomo ran this by dollars. Cuomo's piece was, do as I say or I don't give you money. That's why everything ran through Albany. So you're some local, senator, state senator, some local assemblyman. You go against Cuomo. You don't get that money for your park now. You don't get that money for your new build. You don't get that money from your local committee. You don't get that money anymore. And they know that. Now, is she going to do that? I don't think she's that aggressive and nasty before, would you? I don't think she is the monster that Cuomo was, the machine he built over the 10 years. I don't think she fits into that machine, which means she's going to struggle.
Exactly. And that's what I said. I mean, we wanted to talk about the Cuomo machine and the Albany cesspool. And I've got to think that Kathy Hochul, Larry's, people are scrambling. I mean, they've got to be, which way do we go? Which way do we go? And that already is losing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there is no plan.
What you really have to do and what we haven't done. And for those of you who care, I actually put a COVID plan on my Sharpway YouTube page literally a year and a half ago, March of 2020. If anyone cares, go to playlist. It says COVID COVID response, March 2020. And I gave a list of what you should do to deal with COVID. It's like 6 videos. But the answer is the same. What we should be doing right now is not deciding how do we lock down more and crush the state more. We should be thinking, what did we learn was unnecessary that we were able to discard because of the COVID emergency, and what can we retain? What freedoms can we retain, right? One of the major reasons why we weren't able to react fast enough was because of the centralized control of the government in masks, in ventilators, in hospital beds. You know how many hospital beds we had when COVID started? About 50,000. All decided by the governor himself with the certificates of needs. He decides where hospitals go and how many beds in each hospital. You know how many we have right now? About 50,000. No change.
Wow.
Zero change.
What?
Yes.
That's
so now I would ask you, what if you look at what our healthcare system has done in New York State, it has not serviced people well at all. People complain all the time. But now look at an actual system, medical system right next to it. And that is the non-essentials. Things like LASIK eye surgery, dental cosmetic, body enhancements, things like that. All of those require doctors. All those require medications. All those require surgery, anesthesiology, all those things.
Right.
And every case on that side where the government is not directly involved, price has gone down, accessibility has gone up, quality has gone up. In every case, when we were kids, the only people who got cosmetic dentistry were like movie stars.
Right.
Now, everybody gets it.
Right.
When LASIK eye surgery first came out, they used to charge per eye because it was too expensive. Now everybody gets it. Now that's not run by the government. And somehow, where are all the deaths from eye surgery? None. Where are all the deaths from people under anesthesia when they're getting body enhancements? None. Where are all those deaths? They're not there. They don't exist.
They're not there. They don't exist, but no one's going to report on that because, the drive-by media is not going to do that. I mean, I turned on and again, Larry Sharp, libertarian, ran for governor in 2018, was the libertarian candidate for vice president of the United States in 2016. Did I get that?
I tried. I actually lost that in an internal race to Bill Weld.
Okay.
Yes.
But you were there and it was a good run.
It was.
I turned on the Today Show at 7:00 this morning, which is their first and main hour. You would think that the Cuomo story would be number one. We're going to roll with this right out of the gate.
Nope, it's COVID.
Was it?
What did they have?
No, it was weather.
Puppies and kittens?
It was the hot weather. They had a
Weather.
girl.
Okay, there we go.
I'm not even kidding
the
you.
heat dome out in the west.
They had the girl in Central Park saying how hot it was going to be in August where you are in New York City, how all of New York State is under a heat wave, how the West is burning, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
They had, Al there. He was doing his thing. And I'm like, you're doing 6 minutes on the weather before you ever get to the governor scandal? Are you kidding me?
Yep. So
that sickens me.
Can I touch some of the chat?
Oh yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Did he ask if he could touch Chad?
Yeah.
Yes,
Larry, you're not
chat.
allowed.
The chat. One of the people in the chat says,
"Listeners, Larry,
how hard to rescind the SAFE Act?" And it is harder now. And the reason why it's harder now is because all of the violence has been tied to gun violence. But that's not the reason, right? So the first step to rescinding the SAFE Act, the first step is acknowledging why we're having so much violence. The number one reason we're having so much violence is the black market. That's the number one reason. Always, whenever there is massive violence, there are other reasons. How we deal with cops, those are all reasons. But the number one is black market.
Yeah.
So we have to end the black market. How do you do that? You got to stop giving people checks because people getting checks don't want to work on the books. So they work in the black market. You have to stop shutting down stores because when people can't get stuff conveniently, they get it on the corner with the black market. You got to stop making people stay home and have no purpose. When people have no purpose, they go to drugs. That's what they do to kind of find a way they can survive and handle life when they have no purpose because they can't go to work anymore. Well, everything we've done with COVID has increased the black market.
They won't tell you the numbers, but we know from the local sheriff's departments, we know from the local DA's office how the opioid crisis has ratcheted up levels, at least here in Rochester and upstate New York.
New York City too. Oh, yes.
We're with that. So, bail reform and the SAFE Act and the nursing home scandal have got to be three of the worst things ever for this state. And the shutdown was like the final nail.
100%.
Right?
Yes, that was really the end right there. Bail reform, the concept of bail reform, I love. I love the idea behind it. I can't stand how it was implemented. Bail reform should be about one important thing: giving first-time offenders a fair shake. That's what it should be about. Sure. It's not. That's not what we did. But that's what we should have done. We should have done, you're a first-time offender. Don't get crushed because you happen to be poor.
Sure.
What do? We got people who've been arrested 4, 5, 6 times running right back out. That's not what bail reform is supposed to be. It's supposed to be giving the first-time guy a chance at life and not ruining his life. And maybe he made a mistake and you can get back out there. That makes a lot of sense, and I wish we had gone that route. But now you have the bail reform that we have with an expanded black market. So now I go out and I do the problem with the black market is you can't use cops in courts. So the only thing you have is street violence and reputation, street justice and reputation. I know, I grew up in the Bronx. That's how it works. So what happens? They go out and they bring their, why is it broad daylight? It's broad daylight on purpose. You don't enforce my contract. I am bold enough to shoot your friend in broad daylight. Next time you agree to sell what I tell you to sell, you'll do it. That's literally how it works. So end the black market, the violence will come down. Now you move into, great, what is the SAFE Act supposed to do? It's supposed to stop mass shootings and such. That's what it's supposed to stop. Okay, great. Where are all the mass shootings? Oh, there aren't any. Great. Why do we have a SAFE Act? So now you start with non-enforcement.
Yes.
And you simply tell sheriffs, stop enforcing it. And as a governor, you just say it is your absolute lowest priority. If you have a choice of picking your nose or enforcing the SAFE Act, please pick your nose first. That's what I want to tell all my law enforcement. Pick your nose first. Then if you're that bored, go enforce SAFE Act. But please pick your nose
Larry
first.
Sharp, there was only 1 or 2 police chiefs in the area that I know that gave the middle finger to the SAFE Act. And a couple of others run scared because of
funding
of the big machine
of Cuomo's cash,
of the Cuomo machine. They run scared. I mean, I remember when was it earlier that here in Rochester that the minions for Cuomo were calling local politicians and saying, hey, if you don't jump on board and support me in this nursing home situation, in everything that's going on right now, we're cutting the funding to Rochester. We're cutting the funding to wherever. Right.
So just having a governor at the top saying, guys, stop, do it. Do what you got to do to make your community safe. And here's what I know. That has nothing to do with the SAFE Act. It has nothing to do with the SAFE Act, right? Let the police forces and the sheriffs support their communities the way the communities want to be supported. Right? Police reform should not have been defund the police. That was a terrible idea. Do you want police reform? Sure, I have a plan for that too, by the way. You can check that out. Check out, just Google Larry Sharp and FAQS. That is called the FACTS program. That is simply a way that each community can decide if they want to adjust or shift or reform their policing. F is family law, A is active policing, Q is quality of life, and S is social work. Each one has a separate civilian component that each community can ratchet up or down depending upon where they are. If you're happy with your police force, why should I defund or reform them? You're happy with your police force. I want each community to be policed the way they want to be policed, whatever that is, right? And if you have a template, it makes it easier. But there's something else important too. This is for cops specifically. Too many cops spend too much time on the front line. We don't keep our Marines in the front line. I'm a Marine. The longest you'll spend on the front line is maximum 15 months, usually a lot less, but never more than that. We keep a cop in active policing for 10 years and wonder why they're acting out. Well, yeah, you got PTSD, man. So instead, you put together a system to where they rotate out depending upon where you are. Some areas it'll be 2 years, some will be 4 years. The local area decides. Everybody rotates out of active policing, maybe into family law, which family law should have a chaplain with them because most of that is hubby, wife, back and forth type thing, kids and such. And if you got a cop who just came from a crime scene and now he's got to deal with a yelling wife and a yelling husband, someone's going to jail. But if you instead have a chaplain there with a cop, The chaplain can go, let's see if it's a talk out thing. If it's not, and one of them is violent, the cop is there to put the guy down. No worries, we can do that. But now that cop gets to sit alongside a chaplain for a year. Probably good after spending 4 years in the front line. Why don't you do a chaplain for a while? And you have to make it mandatory because cops are just like military people. They won't take the help if offered. It must be the way it is. It must be a rule, or they won't do it because they're all tough guys. I know the type.
Right.
I was one of them. Stop using common sense, of them.
Larry.
Yeah, that's what Larry.
Stop using common sense.
The Kimberly's Revolution. The name of the show
Nobody
today
wants to hear it.
Is the Sharpest guy, and of course, our guest is libertarian Larry Sharp, who has his own podcast called the Sharp Way, and of course, brought to you by Fantuzzo's Acupuncture and Precision Lawn and Garden, Taylor Heating and Plumbing, and Express Sealers. We appreciate our sponsors because they support us, and without their support, we could not do Kimberly's Revolution under the We the People podcast network. So we appreciate that. So tell me about term limits, because I think this is the only way you get rid of machines like the Cuomo machine. I think you have to do some kind of executive term limits, 2 to 4 year terms. Also, not only, at the state level, but also at the federal level. You've got to get rid of some of those long timers. And I know that it's important to have experience, but, being in an office for, multiple terms, this is what gets us in trouble every time.
How are you going to get them to vote themselves out?
I am more concerned with term limits on a legislature than I am on the executives. More with that, because most of the corruption, New York State may not be, this may be an exception from New York State, because most of our assembly and most of our Senate is nowhere near as corrupt as Cuomo was. But that's not the norm in most states at the federal level. Usually, the legislature is far more corrupt than the executive. That's usually true. So I'm much more concerned about them because they're the ones who stay in, make the deals, shake hands, and never get voted out, right? Generally speaking, we get rid of our executives after time. We tend to get rid of our executives. We never get rid of our legislature. So I'd rather focus on that. Do I want an executive? I do. But the problem is we're focusing on the executive when it should be more legislature, right? It should be more on them. Because if they go 10, 12 years and then leave, now they're no longer beholden to the governor. So now they can run against him. They can point the finger at him now. They can make sure he goes down. You now have a group of people who aren't beholden to the government. You have the people who are now outside who can point the finger at him. So I am more concerned about that. But I agree with you. Both would be great. But I think legislature is more important, actually.
I mean, you look at some of, New York's biggest, political scandals. You have the guy that ran, he was talking to the young girl. He was going to run for mayor. You know who I'm talking about? His wife. Anthony Weiner.
Yes. Anthony Weiner, one of my guys again here in New York City. You're talking about my people. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, you ran in some of the same circles as these guys. Spitzer. I mean, the former governor.
There is an exception with all those guys. Spitzer, the Clintons now are in New York, Bill Clinton, Weiner, all those guys. One massive exception. They were all bad. Don't get me wrong. All bad. But all of those women were consenting. All of them were consenting. Now, Spitzer was paying, but still, she was agreeing. So I'm just saying, it's still bad, right? They're all bad, but it's a level of badness, right? So they're all bad. Cuomo goes up here as bad because Cuomo's people were actually victims who were not consenting at all. The other people use their power to manipulate women, which again, bad. You should not do that. But the women were consenting. Right? But with Cuomo, none of them were. He's worse than all of them, even though they're all bad.
And I think the thing that, kind of threw us for a loop here, as we talked about, was the fact that the team then retaliated against the women.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, you look at that and you go, okay, he's got to have smart people on his team, right? They can't all be bad. But yet they all retaliated and stood behind and protected their great leader.
Would you stay on his team if it were you?
No.
Thank you. Exactly. You've answered your own question, haven't you? Yes. The people who stayed were clearly okay with it, which is why Kathy Hochul will struggle to win the primary because of what you just said. Yeah. She will struggle. If I was a Democrat, that's the first thing I would say. I would point to her and say, there's Cuomo's protege. She was protecting just like everybody else was. There's no doubt if I was Democrat, I would do that.
Did you guys hear her press conference today? She immediately started to try to distance herself. All the plausible deniability. She tried to make it sound like she wasn't there. She had her own agenda. She was doing her own thing and so on and so forth. So she knows that.
Of course.
She
has to, exactly.
On the pipeline.
She knows exactly what's coming down. Exactly right. Yes, 100%. Yes. So I do want to cover one more piece from the chat. Someone else asked, Larry, how can you possibly win if you're not part of the major parties?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, I am now wide open to running as a Republican, as a Democrat, as anything. I'm open. Now, I'm a registered libertarian, but in New York State, you can use fusion voting and you can run and get other parties to back you. So I'm literally open to running for anything now. There was no way I could run as Democrat with Cuomo. Now maybe I can run as Democrat. Who knows? Maybe I can run in Republican primary too. I run all of them. I don't care. I am now open to all of the ideas, whatever will make the most sense, because I will always be libertarian and I will always hold the libertarian line. But would I get another line? I would. If the other parties were interested, I would absolutely consider doing it. So I am now thinking, if I run, do I want to run a Republican primary? I might. Do I want to try to run a Democratic primary? Who knows? I might both. Legally, I could do both.
See, I hate that, even politics, Republican, Democratic Party. I mean, if you're doing the best for the people, why in the hell does it matter? If you're not about making this, country a socialist, country, then at least you've scored 1 point in my book, right?
Well, the problem is this. Remember, the system is made to keep guys like me down. Literally, the system is made to keep me down. I don't know if you know this, but it used to be, to get ballot access, to be able to be on the ballot, you had to get 50,000 votes or more in a gubernatorial election. I did that. Once I was done doing that, the governor said, oh, just kidding. You're gone, 130,000. Literally, we lost ballot access. So people always get angry and go, you third party people, why don't you get better candidates? Why don't your party stop suing to throw us off the ballot? It's hard to vote for us if we're physically not on the ballot, right? We're physically not on the ballot. You can't vote. And they make laws and judges go, yeah, makes sense. And I'm going to make a crazy plea right now. Imagine for a second if all of a sudden the great people of Tulsa, Oklahoma decided we would like to have Larry Sharp as our mayor. And they go, I can't be their mayor. I don't live in Tulsa, but they do it. And their board of elections screws up and puts me on the ballot anyway. Say that this crazy thing happens. Tulsa, Oklahoma, I'm on the ballot. If that actually happens, and what happens? One, the 5 people who like me vote for me in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and the election goes as it always goes. Who cares? Or something crazy happens. I win. Now, what if I actually win? Well, I can't be the mayor because I don't fit whatever criteria they have. So what does that mean? That means those people hated those 2 candidates so much, they voted for some guy in New York City over them, which means we should redo the election. So either way, it's a win. The damage that is done by keeping people off the ballot is horrible. The damage that by letting them on is minuscule. There are over 100,000 people who voted for me and other third parties. You decide to disenfranchise hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers because, I don't know, shut up. That's the reason.
Right. So I know you're on a time frame and I know you have to go. Let me just ask, Kathy Hochul, will she overturn the SAFE Act?
Not at all. Nope.
Not going to happen.
She will not. She's not going to touch that stuff at all. My guess is she picks one thing or maybe 2 things that's going to be her signature thing. And I think she focuses on that, and the rest she kind of lets it ride. And I don't think she runs in 2022. That's my gut.
And here's what I mean. I know she is the first governor of the first female governor of the state of New York. And I said this yesterday. I sure wish it were under different circumstances.
Yes, agreed.
Don't you agree?
Agreed, 100%. Agreed.
Yes. For Kathy Hochul.
Has she formally declared herself to be a female yet?
I think she.
Well, I'm not sure what her pronouns are, so we should probably not say
pronouns. Yeah, we got to ask her.
No, we should probably check, see what they are before we say something.
Right. Vaccine passports. Do you have one? Do you show one?
I don't even know what. Oh, that's the Excelsior thing. Oh yeah, no.
Passport.
No, look,
because your friend or your buddies, AOC and de Blasio say, in order for you to go to a New York City restaurant, you have to show.
All about it. De Blasio, again, I told you, he is a true believer. Just give him everything and Daddy de Blasio will take care of you completely. He totally believes that. He actually does think he's smarter than all of us. Like he believes that. So
Larry, where
he's
does
there.
Bloomberg fit in all this?
Don't forget, Bloomberg was New York City's Republican governor.
Yeah,
I mean, Republican mayor.
Into all this?
Where does he fit in? The guys want to know.
Oh, he'll write a check to somebody. I don't know who yet.
do they dust off Hillary to run for governor?
Wow.
Hillary's a possibility, but she's one of the last chances. I think right now the clear choice right now is Letitia James. She is the clear front runner at this moment. There's no doubt. Money gets behind her already. She's a woman of color. It checks that box. She's tough on cops. I'm sorry, tough on crime in theory because she's an AG. Is she really? I don't know, but in theory, she is at least. She checks that box.
Well, in theory,
she checks a lot of good boxes for them.
She should have come forward with an indictment last week. I mean, that's what we were all sitting here going, all right, she's the attorney general, right? Where are the criminal charges?
But she didn't have to. Why should she do that? Here's the reason why she can't. The first thing is to be fair to Cuomo, and I hate saying this, but I always give credit where credit is due. His lawyer's right. That review was a hit piece. It was not fair. It was a straight up hit piece. That was an assassination attempt, and it worked. That's what that actually was. There was no other side. They ignored other stuff. She's correct. Don't get me wrong. Cuomo deserved it, and I'm glad he's gone and good. But I am saying if that had to go under scrutiny, she would actually look bad. Letitia James would look bad if that document went under scrutiny. That was not a fair document at all. Again, Cuomo deserved it. I'm sure it's all true. I'm happy he's gone. But James was smart. She gave it off for others to do investigations. Now those investigations will be scrutinized, not hers. So it was a very smart move by her.
So she's pretty savvy. She's pretty smart girl. Of course, it's always great to have you on our show. Where can people hear you on YSL when you're not doing a regular podcast?
Yes, you can go to, of course, a Free Solution YouTube page or a Free Solution Facebook page, or just check WYSL Rochester, New York. I stream there live Tuesdays at noon Eastern. Happy to have you guys aboard. All
right, very good. And we'll do so. You keep on doing what you're doing there in New York City. Make that bunker bigger. You're going to need it.
Thank you.
For you. It's Libertarian Larry Sharp. And
thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. It's always great to have you. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. There he is. He had a 5:00 appointment, so he had to go. But I will tell you what, he's one of the greatest guys. He has common sense politics. He always has a great take on anything that happens to be going on. And I knew immediately today that we had to talk to him about all of this. I mean, here's a guy who has run multiple times, and he's right. Guys like him are never going to get a shot because it only comes down to the major players who have the biggest amount of money.
The two-party system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the things I wanted to interject in there, but I figured, you know, it's quite the discussion, quite the topic. I've argued for a long time that our problem is in fact the two-party system, but it's not a top-down solution. It's a bottom-up solution. And that is that once people figure out that they don't need to belong to the Republican or the Democrat Party, right? It's not a football game. It's not the Super Bowl. You don't have to pick who you think the winner is going to be.
Right.
Pick who the candidate that you think would be the best candidate is. If you think Larry Sharp is the best candidate, don't poo-poo him because he's taking votes away from the Republican candidate. That and Larry touched on that.
Yeah.
That's what we constantly hear. Every single major election cycle, whether it be at a high-level state position or mostly at the presidential level,
mm-hmm.
we always hear the attacks on voters who want to vote for that libertarian candidate or that whoever that third-party candidate is. And the argument is always, well, you're just going to take votes away from the Republican, or you're just going to take votes away from the Democrat if that's your football team, the Democrats. You're not taking votes away. You're exercising your personal choice to vote for who you want to vote for.
Exactly.
Don't have a party.
Exactly.
Let's throw the candidates up and vote for the best one. But we have this system.
It's flawed.
We the people
Clearly.
allow the system to continue because we align ourselves with the parties, and that gives the parties the power.
It gives people like Bernie Sanders and AOC power, which is scary, right? When we think about that. Yesterday, we had mentioned that Bob Duffy was probably going to make a statement. He did.
Yeah,
he did.
I went back and listened to it.
Not supporting, Mayor Cuomo, but as I said yesterday, It's way easier to jump on the bandwagon after the fact.
Yeah, I let him know on his Twitter account.
Did you?
Shocker.
What did you say?
He hasn't blocked you yet, Chad?
No, actually, I'm glad you asked that, Tom. I did. And as Larry just said, I hate to say this, but I will give credit where credit's due. And I did tell this to Bob once, several months ago, when the attack with all COVID, when the attack was on Mendoza and Bello and Duffy, those seem to be the three biggest targets locally for a lot of the activist movements that were going on when people were doing the protests and attacking COVID. Mm-hmm. And of course, Duffy from the business side, because he's the CEO of the Rochester Chamber of Commerce, right? And between Bello, Mendoza, and Duffy was the only individual who would actually respond to the negative comments on his Twitter feed. And a couple times Bob responded to some negative comments that I made. And I told him that I appreciated that. I made a public tweet once and I said, at least Bob Duffy will stand up and defend himself and he'll respond to these negative comments.
He won't run.
And he responded, thank you. But that aside, his statement yesterday, both in writing and when he gave his live statement, it's a joke.
Why give one?
Who is he to give one?
And by the way,
how is it relevant what he has to say?
Because he was lieutenant governor.
Exactly.
And he also said nothing during his duration of time as lieutenant governor. He said nothing. So, the question is, did he know? Of course he knew. Well, I'll just answer the question because he was there. He knows, like Kathy Hochul knows. Mm-hmm. He knows what's been going on. This is not surprising, shocking news to those people.
And what makes me so sick? So Adam Bello comes out yesterday with his statement. And you know what? At least his statement is relevant, so to speak, because he is a local political executive. He's the county executive of Monroe County, one of the largest counties in New York State. So a statement by Adam Bello, whether you agree with it or not, at least it's politically relevant. Bob Duffy doesn't hold a political office in New York State, or in Rochester, or in Monroe County, or anywhere.
So why?
So his statement is about as irrelevant as my statement on the subject, right?
What would they say though, Chad, if he didn't make some kind of a statement? Well, why aren't you making a statement?
He hasn't made a statement all along. That's my point. I've been going after. I have sent Bob Duffy tweets for several weeks now, asking him rhetorically to speak out about his former boss. And he was never going to say a peep. And many other people were going after him as well. And he was never going to say a peep. He was never going to come out and have the courage of his convictions and declare that he should resign, or declare that, yes, I know that Andrew Cuomo, as Larry Sharp said, is a bad person and he should go. Why? Because just like myself, just like Larry, just like you two, we never thought in a million years that Cuomo would actually do what he did yesterday, and that's resign.
Right.
And so it's no skin off my nose. But Andrew Cuomo is not going to do anything to me if I call for his resignation and then he doesn't resign.
Right.
He doesn't have any way to retaliate against me. But Bob Duffy's sitting there looking at his $300,000 a year paycheck, knowing damn well the only reason why he has that position is because of his political connections in New York State.
That's true.
King Andy Cuomo.
That's true.
So he's never going to say a word. But yesterday, he gets on the party bandwagon with Adam Bello and all of the other local Democrats, and they all released the same talking point statement. And not one of them released anything negative about Cuomo. They all spun it, and they all couched it in terms of he did the right thing. Even in his most sick, twisted moment, Cuomo acknowledging basically that he did wrong and he had to resign, even in that moment, these supporters of his who have remained silent all along are still spinning it by saying, well, he did the right thing. We agree that he should have resigned.
Right.
No, how about you say he's a bad person and it's about time that he resigned. He's a bad person. He abused women and he should have resigned, and it's about time he resigned.
No, abused women and the system.
No, he did a good thing for New York State. They're still trying to make him look like a victim and like the good guy, that he did the right thing. He didn't do the right thing. He did what he had to do.
That's what I said yesterday. It's a very definition of a pussy. Honestly, it's they're more about the self-preservation.
Absolutely.
They're more about self-preservation.
Wet noodles.
They're pussies. They're never, and I hate, listen.
She's used that word 3 times.
Bob Duffy was our top.
Nervous.
Bob Duffy was the top cop. A lifetime
ago.
Of police work. of going out and helping people who had been victimized. That's what he did for a living. He helped people who others victimize. Yet, for a period of several years, Bob Duffy worked for the victimizer. These women were taken advantage of and mistreated, and Bob Duffy said nothing.
Yeah.
Said nothing until the day, hours after the day that Cuomo resigns, hours after, I think it was maybe 6:00 last night, the statement came out from Bob Duffy. And I thought, you son of a gun.
Yep. Do you know that you have a naked woman on your shirt?
I told her that. I said she's wearing porn.
I was trying to figure out when I was going to interject that into the show, and it just wasn't happening.
Let me stand. Hold on.
She's going to fall out of her chair.
Yeah.
It's
Kimberly's
Hold
wearing
on, you're
porn.
not up on the screen.
no.
You got the comments up on the screen right now.
No, they're
I'm
on the screen. They're on the screen. See,
I'll
There
turn
it
this
nice.
way.
You got a
It's
naked
cats.
chick on your shirt.
She's got a see-through bra on, and
Jeez.
she's got wine.
It's a good thing Andrew Cuomo's not here. Real quick, I have to do a quick public service announcement.
Yes.
So my court date tonight was
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
it's been postponed.
Oh.
Holy shitballs.
Yeah,
Again?
it's been postponed. No,
Okay.
this is actually the first time
to
it's been postponed.
2022.
No. It was
to September 1st. No, it's postponed, meaning I don't even have court. So unfortunately, there's probably people out there that were planning on coming that aren't going to find out. I posted something on my Facebook a little while ago. I sent out some text messages. So
Can I say something?
anyone that's watching right now that planned on going, that knows anyone that planned on coming out to Irondequoit Town Court, please shoot some text messages out, maybe make a Facebook post. She's Kimberly's over here doing some very pornographic things where
I'm making people.
Austin's blushing. Austin, keep your hands up on the table, please. I want to see that thumb. I want to see both thumbs up, Austin.
Meow. Where's my wine? So wait a minute. Okay, so
There
it
is
was-
no I
so your
stand with
court
Chad
date. Your
today.
court
Yeah.
date is Carol says she loves the shirt.
We're sitting
Thank
down with Chad
you.
tonight.
Oh, behave. What can we just call this a day on the whole court system thing that you're going through with the mask? Can we just say you're not gonna?
We can't. No,
Oh.
that requires some action by the Monroe County District
Can we be
Attorney's
done with it?
Office, the East Irondequoit School District.
Can you
who's
just
the
write a letter and
complainant.
say you're not going
I-
to entertain this whole thing anymore?
I
It's-
love to write letters.
it's
So
great.
when is your first athletic game? Do any of your children play fall sports?
Yeah, cross country.
Nice.
Wow, because you want to make sure you wear a mask in cross country.
Well, that's where it all
for
started.
God's sakes.
That's where it all started. It all started
it
last
started
year.
baseball.
No.
No.
It actually all started last year in September out at Mendon Ponds Park.
So you were causing trouble even way
My
back then.
daughter had a cross country meet at Mendon Ponds Park last September.
Cross country.
It was her first cross country meet, obviously outside, obviously at Mendon Ponds Park, which is probably a couple thousand acres big, right? And we were screamed at. Literally, we were screamed at by the race starter from 50 yards away. She screamed over at me and my wife through her bullhorn that we had to put masks on. And then somebody came up to us. It turns out it was the athletic director, I believe, from Pittsford Sutherland, approached me and my wife and started getting in our face. And that's when it all really began. That's when the so-called conversation started to happen between me and my athletic director at East Irondequoit, where I contacted him Monday morning and I said, what in the hell just happened yesterday? Why did I have an athletic director from another school district who has nothing, he has no right to come up to me. I'm outdoors at a public park, Mendon Ponds Park.
Right.
Not even owned by the
Yeah,
school
you don't
district.
even have to have
So,
a kid running. You
here's-
could just be
Yeah,
walking by.
Well, exactly. There was hundreds of people in the park that day. It was a beautiful
Right.
fall, late summer afternoon.
Maybe it's
and there
just
was-
like cross country runners.
Yes,
So
there was
can-
walkers out there. There was horses out there.
Yeah.
There was all sorts of public.
Do you want me to knock on the judge's office and see if I can just get this whole thing just?
Well,
if
you are
if
running for governor, aren't
If you go in with that shirt on,
This shirt is not pornographic.
yes, it is.
It's not. It has a kitty on it. It has
She's
two
wearing
kitties.
porn.
It has two kitties. Where's the other kitty? The other kitty's over here. See, meow. And
So
she
that's-
got wine.
So it has two pussies.
Yes.
3, Chad.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Because honestly, how long can they drag something like this? And see, this is why the judicial system, the court system is in the mess that it's in.
Hey, Beth.
Because you just can't hit stuff. Just go in, get it done with, sign off on the papers, and be done with it. But no, we've got to.
Well, the issue here is so my attorney, Dan Strollo, he filed a motion on July 23rd. I had, not to get into the weeds here, but
Austin, do you have that picture? Kimberly hasn't seen it yet.
Do I get into the weeds, Austin?
Oh, you do. Just be,
I do not get into the weeds. I've never in my life gotten into the weeds. So I don't know why you accuse me of getting into the weeds.
Really?
This is all going to end here today, okay?
Okay.
I don't get into the weeds.
Brevity.
I don't get into the weeds.
You do. Where's the weeds picture?
Hold on. I have to remember where I see.
Oh my God. I did see a cute.
Do I have to get into the weeds while Austin's looking for me getting into the weeds?
Just when are they going to be done with it?
Well, I go back on September 1st.
All right, Jesus.
I had filed a motion. My first charge was dismissed.
It's a pain in the ass.
They filed a new charge. Now there's a motion pending. Apparently the DA didn't get it, so the DA didn't respond.
What a freaking
so now the
waste
DA
of time and money.
wants and needs time to respond.
Honestly.
So
waste of time and money.
Well, of course.
Waste
You're preaching to the choir,
of
my friend.
time and waste of money. That's all. That's
what we have to do in order to keep. Look, if people want to fight for their rights and their freedoms, this is what they do to you.
Sorry.
Fight for their right to
party.
Exactly.
I had a pretty cute meme. It was the Statue of Liberty
there
throwing.
He is.
Oh, he's in the weeds.
I don't get in the weeds.
You so do get in the weeds.
He's not a surface girl, Kimberly. He's not a surface girl.
I know. I'm a surface girl. That's all I'm good for is just surface stuff. I don't get in the weeds. I don't go crazy about certain things. I'm just level. I just, I hit the surface on all things. There was a pretty cute meme of the statue of Lady Liberty. Did you guys see it? Slingshot and quote.
That is awesome.
Is that funny?
That is awesome.
I thought that was.
Where's he sending them? New Jersey?
I thought that was funny. And then I meant to have Larry Sharp see this video. It happened in New York City last night. Did you see the people that were protesting and partying and
I was wondering about that.
Very glad that Cuomo was gone.
Kind of like a la
Saddam
Hussein when Saddam Hussein was
killed. The people were partying in the streets. Can we play that video real quick before we go?
I was thinking about the Wicked Witch of the West, Chad.
That too.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. The wicked Cuomo. I don't know if we have that. There we go.
Oh wow.
They're saying fuck Chris Cuomo. I love it.
Cuomo, yo, we outside. Shout out to Cuomo, he ain't got a job now.
This is awesome. No mo, Cuomo.
Yeah. Okay.
Now I feel like an old guy. That is awesome to see young kids.
I know.
We're all a bunch of curmudgeons when we get old, and we think that young kids are just at home, not engaged, so on and so forth. That was
Is that beautiful?
That was a bunch of 20-something-year-olds out there partying like it was 1999.
Right. Exactly.
That is so cool.
I like it a lot. So that's going to do it for Kimberly's Revolution today. And of course, we thank all of our sponsors, Fantuzzo's Acupuncture, Precision Lawn and Garden, Taylor Heating and Plumbing, and Express Sealers. Please support our advertisers. Go get a little acupuncture and a little, making you feel good stuff from Fantuzzo's Acupuncture. They do a great job over there. They have essential oils. They have anything you could possibly need. Of course, Taylor will fix your air conditioning on a day like this. Call Taylor 500 HELP, and Express Sealers doing driveways like crazy. If you call them, give him some time to call you back, because right now, thanks to Kimberly's Revolution, they're on a 4-week backup. What can I say? When people advertise, they get busy.
Who's on a 4-week backup?
Express Sealers.
I thought you were, Chad.
Thanks to Kimberly's. I don't want to know about his, your bodily functions.
Is that what he was talking about?
That's not what I was talking about.
We also thank, of course, Larry Sharp, the name of the show today, the sharpest guy, for coming on Kimberly's Revolution and telling it how it is. But our one big question is is Kathy Hochul, who is now the governor of the great state of New York and the first female governor. Is she going to be able to make a difference? And his answer was
no.
Categorically no. It's exactly what we said yesterday.
She's a lame duck of all lame ducks right now.
It's shitty circumstances for the first governor of the state of New York. Hopefully she will not be first female governor of the state of New York. Hopefully she will not be the last female governor of the state of New York. I said yesterday, I hate her coming in without, the merit behind her, because I think she's a hard worker. But I think she has no chance of getting anything.
Yeah, you don't get to where she is now without putting in your dues and working hard.
I thought that for about 8 seconds this afternoon until I listened to her press conference, and she immediately went in on all of the normal Holy Grail left-wing platform. She started talking about her fight for minimum wage and her fight for this and her fight for all of the things that are the progressive Holy Grail. And of course, I was just immediately turned off.
Right.
And then they asked her, and then reporters asked her a bunch of questions, and she had no answers. Her answers were constantly, well, I'm not the governor yet. I'm not the governor yet. Well, in a couple weeks when I'm the governor. Well, then what did you give the press conference for?
Exactly.
Why did you wait till
she doesn't have an earpiece yet?
Yeah, right. She doesn't have a teleprompter.
She doesn't have a teleprompter and an earpiece.
That's a great point.
So that's going to do it for Kimberly's Revolution. Monday we have a full room because we're gonna delve into the Rose Chase, Adam Chase murder case. This took place in 2012, several years ago in Ontario County, where Adam Chase was killed by his wife Rose Chase.
Who's coming in? The Hardy Boys?
Rodney Miller, who was an investigator. He's had been a former police officer in Ontario County. He had retired, and he had known Adam Chase for a long time, and he knew the Chases. He also knew the mother, Patricia Mooney, who lived out in Potter in Yates County, where I think you have a relative. And
my mom's permanent campsite is in Potter, New York.
Exactly. So Rodney Miller is coming in along with, I hope, a relative of Adam Chase. I think a sister is coming in.
Flint Creek Campground. Potter, New York.
So that's where he was, the remains that they were able to get in plastic bags after they let him rot in the basement of her house for 4 months.
So is he coming in studio?
Rodney Miller. Yes. Yeah. He'll be here. He will be here in studio on Monday. We're going to break down the Rose Chase story. It was very instrumental in kind of shooting us, at least the radio show, when I had a radio show, into the kind of radio show that we had going forward from 2012 on. I mean, we really kind of delved into, local stories like that. And in fact, some of our telephone conversations with some family members, including Rose Chase's mother, were actually used during the murder trial. So it's going to be interesting to kind of break that story down. Rose Chase is doing 24 to life at Bedford Correctional Facility downstate in New York. She is likely to never get out. And she was an interesting chick. I wish I had that audio of her mom calling in, but I don't. That left us at the old morning show.
Can't go back and get it. You want me to subpoena it?
Can you subpoena it? You'd have to go back to the radio company before the last radio company.
Nice.
If I
where I'm going to be Monday?
Where are you going to be Monday?
I'm going to be in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania.
Is that where you're from? Is that the land of all Hummels?
It is the land of all Hummels.
Is it?
Yeah. In fact, my great aunts, I have 2 great aunts that are in their 90s. They still live. They're still alive.
So there's a town named after your family?
That's where in the 1860s, hundreds, I think thousands of German immigrants settled. And the Hummel, there was the Hummel family and the Hoy family, H-O-Y. They're 2 families that were a large portion of the population that ended up being named Hummelstown. It's right near Hershey Park.
That's kind of cool.
We traveled through there a couple years ago on our way to Myrtle Beach.
That's awesome.
And it's an awesome little town. I wish I had loaded up some of the photographs.
So the immigrants, were they dropped across a wall? Did the little ones have to, I'm just asking the question. Did they bring COVID with them?
Probably.
Did they swim across a river?
We swam across the southern border.
Were you swimming across the Monongahela? I don't even know if that's the only river I know in Pennsylvania. Isn't that a river in Pennsylvania?
Is a Hummel one of those little China dolls or something? River. What's a Hummel?
Hummel. The Susquehanna River. That's
the Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
We call it the Suck a Banana River.
Okay. Well, whatever you guys Your family is fun.
So we're on our way to Myrtle Beach, and we'll pass through Hummelstown on our way to Williamsburg, and then on our way to Myrtle.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. So you won't be with us next week.
I will not be with you.
All
next
right, but we will be with you with great guests on Kimberly's Revolution. And as always,
God bless. Be kind to others.
Rejuvenate, restore, refresh, and heal. At Fantuzzo Acupuncture, we seek to help achieve effective health and wellness in an elegant spa-like atmosphere. Fantuzzo Acupuncture specializes in traditional acupuncture, cosmetic anti-aging acupuncture, acupressure, cupping, CBD topical creams, and more. Approach healthcare holistically. Visit FantuzzoAcupuncture.com to book online today. FantuzzoAcupuncture.com.
From attic to basement, we're here for you. It's quality service in all we do. Call Taylor. 500 help.